Hi, I'm Joe Miller with 3M's Commercial Branding and Transportation Division. Today, we're going to cover spill management training. First, we will cover the priorities to keep in mind in the event of a spill, and then go through the 10-step spill response process. The first priority of a spill response is protection of life. You do not want to put yourself or others in harm's way, and if the spill is already too dangerous or out of control for you or your team to handle safely, then call 000. If the liquid is flammable and there are ignition sources in the area, first turn off the ignition sources where it's possible and safe to do so, then call 000 for assistance. If it is safe to access it, we also want to control the pollution source to stop additional liquid from adding to the spill. For example, this could be turning off the tap if it was left open, or lifting up a tipped-over drum, etc. We also want to be mindful of any potential to contaminate the surrounding environment. For example, if there is a drain that the spill could potentially move towards, then we want to cover the drains to avoid environmental contamination. Once the spill has been cleaned up, then we need to safely dispose of the spill. We will discuss this later in the video. Now, onto the spill response steps. Step 1 is safety first. Identify exposure and fire hazard risks while being safe. Step 2 is to evaluate the spill and identify the liquid that has spilled. You do not want to rush in and start cleaning up a spill without knowing first what the liquid is. You can read the safety data sheet for the liquid to see what personal protective equipment is needed when handling it. Find the source of the spill. For example, this could be a container tipped over or a valve that was left open. If it is safe to access the source of the spill, then stop it. You will want to notify anyone in the area of the spill, and depending on the type, size, and severity of the spill, you may need to notify emergency services and security personnel. Depending on the spill, you will need to determine if there is a need to evacuate the site. You may just need to evacuate the immediate spill area of staff, but if it is a dangerous situation, then the entire site may need to be evacuated and you should call 000. Emergency personnel would be able to advise on evacuation once they are on site. If the spill is manageable, then we can proceed to putting on the personal protective equipment that is outlined in the safety data sheet of the chemical. Liquids will naturally want to spread, so our first goal in managing the spill is to contain it. Take the sorbent booms or folded sorbents to place around the perimeter of the spill to keep it contained inside and to prevent it from spreading out further. Then, use sorbent pads to place on top of the spill. Sorbent pads have a large surface area and will absorb the liquid. Never step on the sorbent pads to try to hurry up the process. If you notice that the sorbent pads are becoming oversaturated and the spill is coming through them, then just place additional sorbent pads on top. Once the sorbents have done their job and soaked up the spill, then it's time to place all of the used sorbent materials into the contaminated waste bag. To properly dispose of the contents, you will need to refer to the safety data sheet, as a saturated sorbent will take on the properties of the liquid that it soaked up and should be disposed of in the same manner. Then, clean the area using an appropriate cleaning chemical, after referring to the safety data sheet, to avoid contamination of the surface. Following a spill, you should notify your work, health, and safety team to report the incident so they can review the root cause of the spill and decide on any preventative actions to implement. Lastly, you will want to make sure that the spill kit is restocked with any sorbent pads that were used, so that it is ready in the event of another spill in the future. Thank you for watching. For more information on 3M sorbents and spill control, please click on the link below.